Hello, everybody. You saw the title, so we're going to just jump right into it. So, what is the value of physical training and of athleticism to a man who is pursuing virtue, and that's his goal? So, this is something I've been thinking about for a while, so I thought I'd sit down and talk about it a little bit. So, I've come up with a couple reasons that I find pretty compelling, and physical training has been of great benefit to me as well. So that's why it's been something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and I found that it's helped me quite a bit in that pursuit and trying to be more virtuous and more Christ-like. Um, so, first reason of why it's important for a man pursuing virtue, physical training. Um, at minimum, you need to be exercising enough to stay regulated. There's a whole bunch of literature on the effects of exercise and how crucial it is to your health and how much you need to keep you regulated. Most sources and places will agree that you need 150 minutes of light exercise or 75 minutes of intense exercise just to maintain your fitness, just to keep you regulated on a hormonal level and a whole bunch of other things. And on top of that, you have all sorts of neural effects that come with exercise. You get obviously endorphins that make you feel really good. And when you're moving towards your goals, and that includes fitness goals, obviously, it'll increase your serotonin levels. So you'll overall feel better. You'll be healthier. You'll just be overall, you'll feel so much better if you exercise regularly. So there's that as well. You don't want to cause yourself unnecessary suffering if you don't have to deal with it. So you need to be at least at this level of just maintaining your fitness, just to stay healthy, to be to function as a virtuous man, because you will no doubt face times where your utmost will be called upon, and you're going to need to be exercising at least this much just to function and perform at your highest level, whatever that looks like to you. So, second reason, I'm going to differ and we're going to change gears a little bit here. So, this quote came to mind when I was thinking about this subject, and it's a quote that's attributed to Socrates, and you've probably heard it before. It's a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable. Now, this is attributed to Socrates. However, this is actually slightly misquoted, or it's been reworded. It's been paraphrased from the original quote is this, that's attributed to Socrates. Besides, it is a disgrace to grow old through sheer carelessness before seeing what manner of man you may become by developing your bodily strength and beauty to their highest limit. But you cannot see that if you are careless, for it will not come of its own accord. So this is from Socrates. It was recorded by his student Xenophon. I think I'm saying that correctly. He's actually a pretty cool guy. I might make a video on him at some point. Just kind of an interesting character. So this is a pretty cool quote, and the simplified version of it comes up a lot when it comes to like stoic gym bro culture, whatever you want to call that, as someone who's been a member at certain times. So I know I've seen it quite a bit. Maybe you all haven't, but it's a cool quote, and it brings up a really great point, which is that you have an unknown amount of potential that you're harboring within you for both beauty and strength, and you should probably pursue that to see what comes of it. It is really, I think, rather shameful, maybe even sinful, to let carelessness get in the way of that, to not discipline yourself enough to bring out what could be so much strength and beauty that your body has within itself, and you're choosing not to bring that out. And I really do think that's a shame. So, so sort of tangentially on this subject of potential, if you look at it through a lens of ethics or Christian ethics, I don't really believe that ethics and Christian ethics are different. And that's a whole other can of worms. I'm not going to get into that right now. Save that for another time. So through this lens, you can view physical training as practice in extracting potential. So everything you do in your life will require extracting potential from the world around you. Every action that you take will require extracting potential. That's just what it means to be human and to wrestle with the world around you. So when you are training and when you're exercising and you're trying to put your best foot forward towards a vision, you're practicing bringing out the excellence from within yourself. You're practicing bringing the best that potential has to offer into reality of your own potential. It also helps you set out specific visions for yourself, right? Whatever that may be, whether that's running a marathon, lifting X amount of weight, losing X amount of weight, learning martial arts or acrobat, whatever interests you, right? Like, I've noticed this especially among men, is that there's typically something that grabs our interest that involves some level of physicality, and approaching your fitness this way can help you set goals that really inspire you in your fitness. Maybe you are fascinated by the endurance runners and you want to go and take a crack at that, try and be a triathlete, whatever it is to you. It helps you set out that vision and set goals for yourself. So on the more theological side, this is why I noted Christian ethics before we got into this, is that you're mirroring God in the beginning of Genesis, right? At the beginning of Genesis, God extracts order from the unformed potential in the beginning of time, the Spirit of God hovering over the face of the waters. It's one of our great abilities as humans to do exactly that, to bring order out of chaos, to form potential into something great. Excuse me. It's one of the things that constitutes being made in the image of God from the Christian perspective. But the whole image of God concept is pretty loaded, so we'll save that for another time. But anyway, let's move on away from Socrates. So another element of why I think training is a worthy endeavor is this: it helps you practice discipline. And discipline is such a core element to virtue and to success. And exercising frequently and training frequently at a high intensity towards your goals can be a great way to teach and instill discipline, as well as a way to keep your own self-disciplinary abilities at a high level. So not to go like full David Goggins on you, but this is definitely a really good method to nurture your disciplinary capacity. So I'm not going to spend too long on this because discipline has been talked to death by everyone at this point. It's very common, especially I've noticed in the last like 4 or 5 years, it's really become more prominent. I think partially because of the rise of David Goggins and other characters like that, Greg Plitt, if you're familiar with him, and just the movement of gym culture into the mainstream. I think a lot of that has caught on. So discipline has been talked to death, but I'll leave a few notes. So when exercising with discipline as a goal, there's like 2 ways you can approach it. And this is, I'm just going to go ahead and preface it with this. I'm going to get off topic a little bit here and talk about how you should instill discipline and how you should practice it. So we're getting off topic from the initial question a little bit, but I'll circle back around and it'll be important, I promise. So, for example, when you're setting out to put together a training plan, when you have discipline as a goal of that training program, which you should, if you're trying to pursue virtue, you can add parts of your training that are specifically designed to wear you out mentally, right? Like you can usually through that'll be like doing an activity that you don't like and doing it like an exorbitant amount. So like, for example, running long distances when you hate it, cycling, whatever it is, whatever you dislike doing that at a very high level will be very, very difficult and very challenging, and it'll help you with your self-discipline. So that is one approach, but you have to be very careful with this approach because you have to balance it with the rest of your training, because overdoing it in this regard can cause real long-term damage to your body. And that's not optimal. If you're trying to be a virtuous man over the long run, then you need to not be breaking your body down. So, and yeah, note it also, you won't be, if you overdo this, you won't be training optimally for your health, basically, right? Like, I lost my place here. There we are. Yeah. And you're not going to be training for health or even physical strength at that point if you're really overdoing it. So here's a second approach. And I don't think the first approach is bad, by the way. You just have to be really careful about balancing it. I've integrated it into my training plan for sure. It's just, you have to be careful. So the second approach is consistency, which means putting together a rigorous but reasonable training plan that will challenge you to stay consistent with this. The trick with this approach is you have to fit it accurately to what level you're at. You don't want to overestimate yourself rather, and have a training plan that leaves you like half dead after your first week of training. So, but you don't want to have it be a walk in the park either. So you have to match it to what skill level you're at and what you're ready for. And you can scale that to, but you can scale that however you want, but you have to match it optimally. Otherwise, you're not going to be training yourself for discipline. So keep in mind that with both of these approaches, both the intensity and consistency approach, and you can also blend them. I blend them for sure. But with both of these approaches, you still want to have health and strength and whatever your fitness goals are at the forefront. Like, you want to master consistency and intensity. But whatever your actual goals are for along with health and strength, and for the reasons I listed before about those being, I think, virtuous things, virtuous pursuits, I should say. Whatever your fitness goals are on top of those, you don't want discipline to be placed higher than them in your hierarchy of your aims, right? Like you don't want to let it overshadow those other goals, because it can easily do that. And if you're not ready for that, then you're going to be in for a rough time, and it's not going to be pleasant, and it's not going to have a positive outcome, because you're not going to complete that arc of training, if you will, without you're not going to complete that arc of training with your goals completed by the end of it. So just be careful about that. Make sure discipline is subordinated correctly in your aims, and go about doing that wisely. So one more note on discipline. I said it would be quick, but it's less quick than I thought. There's something that's often talked about on the philosophical side of the fitness industry, if you will. It's not really a great term for it, but on the, like the Tom Platz characters, David Goggins, all the guys that talk about why you should do what you do in the realm of fitness. Something that comes up a lot is the idea of discipline versus motivation. A lot of people will tell you that motivation is completely irrelevant, and you should be exclusively acting out of discipline. And I just don't think that's true. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's the right approach. This is a complicated topic, and I'm pretty certain I'm going to do an entire another video on just discipline versus motivation, because I've thought about it a lot. But I think motivation should play at least a role in your training. Motivation will come and go, but you need to make sure that it's at least coming semi-regularly, right? Because if you have zero motivation all of the time you are training, that means your goals don't speak to you. That means you need to probably, your vision that you set out is no longer moving you forward. So you probably need to step back, readjust your plans, think about your goals, see if you need to set new ones. Think about why health and strength are important to you as a man or woman. This applies to everybody. And come back and readjust, and you'll find that motivation probably does come. Seek that out to some degree, but it will come and go, and that's what your discipline is for, to keep you consistent. So I can only think of one more topic here, one more thing outside of discipline and potential and just health, on why physical training and athleticism are valuable to someone pursuing virtue. So if you're a man pursuing virtue, you are likely to pursue being a great husband and a great father. You can kind of argue on whether or not that is a virtuous pursuit, but I think most men generally agree that being a father and husband is a noble pursuit. I can lay out my argument for that, but that's probably for another time also. So for the sake of this video, let's just assume that it is a noble pursuit to be a father and husband. So to pick up that role, to be a great father and a great husband, you need to be prepared for anything, particularly if you're going to be a father. Now, I'm speaking as the perspective of a man, so I'm saying this as a father. I mean, for fathers rather, but this applies for women and women who want to be mothers. Obviously, I'm just speaking from how I see it as a man. So you need to be quick on your feet and strong and healthy and capable if you're going to be a father. So our role, this is specifically for fathers. Our role as both protector and provider require that you are both healthy and capable. So protector, the protector role, that's more obvious it's more self-evident as to why you need health and why you need strength to do that, right? Because there's a very obvious physicality present when you're talking about protecting your family, like physically protecting your family. So it's probably wise to be trained in at least some level of martial arts in that regard, and to be physically strong. So there's that element to being a protector. And obviously you'd never want to be in a situation where that's necessary. You also probably want to be skilled with firearms, but that's off the topic of this video. So you want to be physically strong. You want to be physically capable as a protector. And again, never want to be in a situation like that. Pray it never happens, but be prepared for it. So, but as being a capable provider as well as a protector, you also need to be strong. And more particularly, you need to be healthy, which again means that you need to be training. You need to be exercising. You need to be capable. So to be a capable provider, you need to be physically healthy so that you can bring your best to the table in everything that you do. At work, you need to be bringing your best to the table so that you can provide for your family financially. When you're at home, you need to be bringing your best to the table so that you can be the best man you can possibly be for both your wife and your kids. So again, it's absolutely crucial. So in short, I really do think that it's critical to implement physical training and athleticism into your life as a husband and partner, or as a husband and father, rather, excuse me. There's no situation where it won't be useful, for sure. And as a bonus, your kids are going to get a good example of health and strength for them to follow in your footsteps. So get healthy. That's about it on that point. So that's all the stuff I came up with. So let's recap real quick. So at bare minimum, you need to be doing at least enough exercise and training to keep yourself regulated, just for the sake of yourself, just to keep you where you need to be healthy and to be capable as a man. So, or woman rather. I shouldn't close that off to women. Obviously, it's ladies, it's 100% the same thing for you. So just for the sake of yourself, you need to have respect for yourself. You need to have respect for the potential that you have within you, that you have so much you can bring out and give to the world. You need to respect that. And one of the ways to do that is to keep yourself healthy and keep yourself at least getting enough exercise to keep you healthy. Plus, it'll just make you happier. Like the endorphins and the serotonin that you get from achieving fitness goals and keeping yourself regulated, like that's great. You're going to feel so much better just by doing that. So at least be doing that. And you should also be exercising so that you learn what you're capable of. You bring out that harbored potential within you. See what you have to offer to the world. So you're also practicing extracting potential and creating a good vision for yourself. You're practicing setting goals and setting out a positive vision. You're practicing utilizing discipline and enhancing your own self-disciplinary capacity. Just Obviously, beware to do that wisely and intentionally, as we were talking about before. And you need, last but certainly not least, you need to be prepared and capable, as prepared and capable as possible to be a father or a mother. Both marriage and parenthood will absolutely 100% require your best. And with all that in mind, go out there, get strong, get healthy, get capable, and I'll see you. Bye.